Salutations. Welcome once again. This is another edition of Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network. My name is Jake Query. That is Derek Schultz. We are up to show number, Derek, Lee Smith, right? The closer, Lee Smith.
I'm going to go with, yes, Lee Smith, Hall of Famer Lee Smith.
That's
now, right. Who had a long wait. And a really nice man. I actually met him at the Indianapolis Indians hot stove luncheon years ago. And couldn't have been a nicer guy. He was the keynote speaker for that. But personally, one of my favorites, a guy that's not going to make the Hall of Fame but is in the Hall of Very Good, Andy Pettitte is who I think of when I think of 46.
In NFL quarterback analogies all time, Andy Pettitte is who?
Ken Anderson.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Although Andy Pettitte won a World Series, right?
He won several. Yeah, he won a lot. I mean, really, his postseason numbers are very good. He had 200-something wins, but I think he falls just short of inclusion.
So who is the best, among eligible, who is the best all-time Super Bowl winning quarterback that's not in the Hall of Fame?
Ooh, yeah, that's a really good question.
I mean,
he's the one that everybody brings up.
Well, because he's won two of them.
Yeah.
So is Eli Manning, but I think Eli Manning gets in, but he's not eligible yet.
Yeah, I'd have to think on that for a while. I'm not really sure.
That's an excellent question by me.
It actually is. Yeah, I'm impressed. And this is a good maybe sign that we're going to have a decent show today for once.
Now, I will say one thing about this show, and if I'm not mistaken, was it last week you were on vacation?
No, 2 weeks.
Did we do a show last week?
We did a show last week.
That's right, because you mentioned that you ran into John Love at the airport, but you said Chris Love, and John Love texted me and said, glad I made a good impression on Derek, because Love Heating and Air Conditioning, of course, love-hvac.com, wonderful company, been around for over 100 years, fantastic customer service and product, loyal to this show, longtime sponsors, twin brothers. Derek runs into one, screws it up on which one it is. Good work.
Wait, it was Chris at the airport?
No.
It was John.
It was John, but you said on the air it was Chris.
I didn't say it was Chris. I said it was John Love at the airport.
You said it was John off the air. You said Chris on the air. You didn't know which one it was.
I'll go back and look at the tape. I knew that it was John.
Well, you didn't say John.
I said John because I knew that it was John.
Would you like to see the text thread that I'm on that said
in the video, I say John.
Well,
I even sent it to them. I sent it to John.
Well,
are you telling me that I called him Chris in the video that I sent to him?
Yes.
Oh, God, I'm embarrassed. Well, I apologize, John. That was this. I told you I saw John Love at the airport.
This text from John Love. Saw the replay of the show. Glad I made a lasting impression with Derek. It was me and not Chris at the airport. And I sat right behind him on the flight, the first of the B group. Oh, and by the way, I was flying from Providence, not the Cape.
No, he went to the Cape. He didn't fly out of Logan. We flew out of Logan.
I'm just telling
That's
you.
what ended up happening. Okay.
I'm just telling you.
Jake, didn't I tell you? I texted you. I saw John Love at the airport. That is
the
exact
quote. On the air, Chris Love.
Okay, well, that was a mistake.
For what it's worth, to absolve you of blame here, my 30th year high school reunion is coming up, and there is one friend of ours that wants to, because I'm the guy that for whatever reason remembers everyone's, I'm not great with names and faces, but I have a great memory of people from then.
Yeah.
And so one girl that I grew up with was like, listen, I need to go and wear like an earpiece. And then when I get trapped in conversation with somebody, you got to go over in the corner.
Yeah.
And she said, and notably the Loves, because I can't tell them apart.
That's so Ricky. He played JV soccer.
Right. That's what I've got to do.
In '89, they won sectional.
If I were there and we were at Colts camp, what I would be saying is, that's Carson Wentz, and he's on the sidelines. We don't know when he's going to be there. What we know is this, Derek. Carson Wentz has a foot injury. We don't know. I guess we did talk about it. Did we talk about this last week? I can't remember. No.
His foot injury? No, it happened on like Thursday.
That's right. It was. I was on with JMV.
Do you know what month it is?
No, I'm very confused. I went to Black Crows last night.
Okay, so you remember that. That's good.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I remember that.
It's August.
Is it August?
Yes.
August 1st, right? But it's like 60 degrees outside.
Well, we're taping it on August 2nd. Yeah.
Is it the 2nd?
It is cool, yes. Okay. But most people will be watching this on August 3rd because that's the release date.
I feel weird because I lowered my seat because people said that I was looking too domineering on the program, and I really feel like I'm sinking.
All right, let's talk about this Carson Wentz situation before we get
Does it look like I'm lower than you?
Off the rails here.
Do I look below you?
Late in Thursday's practice, Wentz, one of the last series, feels a twinge.
On Wednesday, Wentz looked like my old seat, high up and mighty.
Yeah, he had one really spectacular throw. I think it was
today,
to Zach Pascal.
Down lower.
Okay. You good? Did you get it all out of your system? Felt a twinge, felt a pop.
Right.
They take him off the field. He does not go through the last series. And then early Friday, the first report was Carson Wentz isn't practicing today. And you're thinking, whatever, who cares? Guys get held out of training camp practices all the time. Then the next one was, well, we think he's going to go see Dr. Anderson, the famous foot specialist. And then you're like, whoa, that gives me a little bit of pause because you don't go to Dr. Anderson.
When you hear foot specialist, you know something's up.
Yeah, and specifically that name too. And then it becomes, okay, he's shut down for the rest of the preseason, and then it becomes possible surgery. And it just kind of – the joke that I made, Jake, is that the only other group of people that had a worse Friday on social media than Cubs fans were Colts fans, because literally every time you refreshed your feed, something worse was being reported about Carson Wentz. So it's a huge deal because, and we've talked about this, and everybody knows this, so much of this season hinges on what Carson Wentz is going to be. And if he's not going to be healthy, if he's going to miss even 3 games, suddenly you punt 3 games in a 17-game season, that's a huge deal. And this is a front-loaded schedule, Jake. It's not like they're opening, Cincinnati and Houston and teams like that. The first month of the season is the Colts, on paper at least, the toughest stretch of the entire year for them, correct. And they might not have their QB1
Here's the thing. I realized, Derek, look, at this point, depending on the amount of time that Carson Wentz misses here, let's say optimistically that Carson Wentz is able to go in week 1. He rests, he avoids surgery, he is available in week 1. Do you recall the year, and you're better than I at these things, what was the year that Peyton Manning had the bursa that led to MRSA?
2008.
And he missed how much time?
Yeah, he didn't miss any time.
But he missed camp time, did he not?
Yeah, I think he did. And I think they held him. Did they hold him out of the preseason? Rake's saying all of camp.
Okay. What did they start that year?
2-3. They got destroyed by the Bears. They started 3-4, I think, and then won 8 straight.
Okay.
Or 9 straight to end the season. But they started with the Bears and got blown out.
So let me ask you something.
Had a couple of bad games.
In terms of football acumen, skill set, productivity, how would you list the difference between Peyton Manning and Carson Wentz?
Oh, I mean, I think fairly highly of Wentz, but comparing anybody to Peyton Manning is tough. Big chasm.
Peyton Manning, arguably the highest quarterback intellect ever to ever play the game, right?
Yeah.
Peyton Manning missed an entire preseason, and it took him nearly 6 weeks to get the train back on the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And we're expecting this guy with a brand new roster and receivers that he's thrown to like on the Santa Monica Pier one weekend for a boys trip. We expect this guy to miss an entire camp, show up week 1, and everything is A-okay.
You know what's worth pointing out,
Paint me a skeptic here, right?
If I'm not mistaken, I think Manning won MVP that year.
He did. He tied it, I think.
Yeah. Well, the tie year was with McNair in 03, I think.
Okay.
And then he won in 04, and then I think he won in 07 and 08.
I think
I'm right?
I'm certain that he did the year of the knee deal.
Yeah.
But my point being, Derek, sure, Carson Wentz is a veteran quarterback that knows how to throw football. I get that. But this is the time when you need to figure out your timing with your receivers and get to know your team and work through the kinks and learn the offense and learn the playbook and learn the cadence and all of those things. This is when it has to happen.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen by propping your foot up watching Drew Curry on Price is Right. It just doesn't.
2 other things, too, and this is where it differentiates from Manning. Wentz is a guy that is mobile and relies on his legs, and that's part of what makes him a good quarterback. If you're suddenly zapping that, like let's say he plays through this and decides to rehab and he loses something mobility-wise, that's a problem. 2, the big issue with Carson Wentz, no one has ever questioned his arm or his ability. The question for him has been his footwork. So now you have a foot injury and you're relearning footwork and trying to separate yourself from a disastrous 2020. I mean, Jake, this is – I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. This is – this is a catastrophe for the Colts.
This is the thing, okay? And I think this needs to almost be clarified. I understand the fact that we don't know that Carson Wentz is going to miss extensive time. And I understand the fact that it is possible that we are talking about something that doesn't even exist in terms of like this huge issue, because maybe there isn't a huge issue. But successful franchises and successful executives build success in winning, not based on plan A, Derek, but in having plan B immediately ready to go when plan A goes awry and never being caught off guard. And in this situation, Chris Ballard, if Chris Ballard better pray that Carson Wentz is ready to go, because if he's not, they do not appear to be a franchise that had a plan B ready to be thrown.
They got a lot of eggs in that basket. But to be fair, most NFL teams do when it comes to
But what I'm saying is we are talking about the possibility of Carson Wentz not being here, not because we are saying or thinking that he's not going to be here, but because you always have to be looking around the corner when it comes to sports. It wasn't raining when Noah built the ark. And for the Colts or for any franchise, they have to start being prepared and thinking about what the contingency plan is, because if you get to the point where the contingency plan has to be executed and it's the first time you're mentioning it in the meeting, you are absolutely, totally, 100% screwed.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to use the Noah analogy, Jake, the problem for the Colts is the last 4 or 5 years is that even when the skies are clear, it started downpouring in 2 seconds, because this just keeps happening over and over and over again. I mean, if Chris Ballard didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck at all. I mean, it just feels that way. But, you know, it's a results business, and he had to have known, look, did I know that Carson Wentz was going to have a foot issue on July 31st? No, but durability has been a big concern with Wentz.
It has.
He's had a lot of issues over his short NFL career when it comes to that. So, you know, let's kind of go into that, because you talk about plan B. They bring in Brett Hundley, who has at least some NFL experience, like he's thrown an NFL pass, unlike everybody else on their roster. He started 9 games for Green Bay back in 2017. He's played in 18, but he's thrown 11 passes since the 2017 season, so it's not like he has a wealth of real, legitimate NFL experience here recently. But now, look at what's thrown on Jacob Eason, who, for all intents and purposes, Jake is a rookie. He threw 30 passes the entire offseason last year. He didn't play in a preseason game.
But whose fault is that?
Well, I mean, some of that's COVID-related, that he has no experience.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, you know, the whole, like, well, we're not ready to necessarily turn things over because, you know, he's still young enough. He's on your roster. He's on your roster. He's been in your camp. He's been in the meetings. He's been everywhere. You know, at some point you got to trust the guy, right?
Yeah. You can't find 32 good starting quarterbacks. So any team's second quarterback is going to be an issue like this. You would just hope that there was some experience, and there's nothing to go on with Jacob Eason.
You ready for a query left field?
Yeah, we got about 15 minutes into the show.
Are you ready to think I'm crazy? I have no idea if this is taking place.
Hit me with it. He's a crisis actor.
Looking
Jacob
forward. No. If the Colts get devastating news on Carson Wentz, and by devastating I mean that he's going to miss, let's say, into November or, you know, whatever. I have no idea. This is strictly hypothetical.
You got to punt.
Do the Colts make an exploratory phone call to Phillip Rivers?
Oh, yeah. I wonder if they've already done that, honestly. He doesn't, from what he has said publicly, I think he is completely done and at peace. They tried the recruitment thing with Andrew Luck. What was it, last offseason we came to find out? And I think there was some finality to the point where he was like, look, I really am out.
Is that when Andrew had lunch with Jimmy from the Colts?
Yeah. No, I believe that they talked. I mean, I believe that. But I think he reaffirmed that he's staying put. No, I don't think that's that out of left field at all. I think you're not doing your job if you don't. Because let's face it, Phillip Rivers at, how old is he now, 52? 52-year-old Phillip Rivers is a better option than Nick Foles or Gardner Minshew or any of these other guys that we're talking about. Blake Bortles?
Who do the Colts open with?
Seattle.
He may not be ready for the Seattle game.
It's too bad because they have the Rams week 2, I think. So it would have been perfect
it may not be
for the Ram
game.
That's kind of an inside joke for longtime listeners on the program.
You know, in talking about the Colts, the one thing I will say, Derek, is, you know, we're going to focus a lot on this quarterback situation and whether or not, you know, do they call Phillip Rivers? Anthony Costanzo's now retired. You know, there's a lot going on. Now we know Quentin Nelson, at least as of taping right now, maybe nothing was removed from the field, and they're taking a look at him. Ryan Kelly's banged
Darius
up.
Leonard.
But they have had pieces that have looked really good. It looks like they're going to have an athletic linebacker core. I think they might have finally found some semblance of a pass rush. We know they have a good running game. The receiver position is one where they have bodies. We have to see whether that means they have symmetry at the receiver position, but it appears as though that, you know, they have some depth. So there are a lot of encouraging things.
Yeah.
So far. But the big storyline is going to be the quarterback because it's the most important position in sports.
Again, if like, let's say the disaster scenario plays out and Wentz is done for the year or done for 3 months, I mean, we're talking about, it doesn't matter how good the rest of your roster is. You're talking about a 5-12 NFL team.
Have you seen the movie Airplane?
No. No, I've not.
You've never seen the movie Airplane?
Is it recent? Oh my God. I'm not familiar with it. I saw Black Hawk Down. I saw Air Force One. I saw Top Gun.
Have you ever heard this line? I'm not, and please don't call me Shirley. Surely you're not, surely you're not kidding, or surely you're serious. I am serious, and please don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, no, I think I've heard that. That's from a movie?
Are you familiar with Ted Stryker? Are you familiar with this? You tell your dad to go out there and tussle it up with who was it? With Lanier and Chamberlain, and then bust his butt up and down the floor. That's not familiar to you?
No, is that Hubie Brown? What is that?
You ever seen a grown man naked? Does that line mean anything to you?
No. No one has ever said that to me. So no, that line does not mean anything to me.
Well, those are all from the movie Airplane, which is a fantastic comedy and a golden movie from 1980. So I think it's 1980. Leslie Nielsen. It's when he moved over to satire comedy.
OJ was in it.
What's that?
OJ was in it?
No, that was Naked Gun. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's in it. Naked Gun is Leslie Nielsen. This was the intro to it, And Leo's getting larger. That's Airplane.
Yeah, no.
It's like a big Tylenol.
Okay, what were you going to say?
In the movie, they tell everybody on the airplane, like, look, it looks like we might crash and everybody's going to die, and they're listing off all the things, and then like, oh, and by the way, we're out of coffee, and everybody just goes crazy and freaks out. If Carson Wentz is out for the year, that is the airplane scene where we're out of coffee, right? Yeah. At that point, it's like, Katie, bar the door.
And then, there was the question of, and Chris Woodlick and I were kind of talking about this on Twitter, where he mentioned, okay, well, if he's out extended period, you have to go out and get a backup. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if Carson Wentz is out an extended period, and I know Chris Ballard would never say this publicly, it'd be better just to throw Eason to the Wolves, knowing that this season's going nowhere.
I think there's a lot of truth to that.
And just to get the draft pick, right?
Easton becomes Curtis Painter at that point,
yeah,
right?
I just think you punt because what you really don't want to do –
You'd probably be punting a lot.
What you really don't want to do is turn a 4-13 season into a 7-10 one.
Correct.
That's that's not what you want to do.
It still feels weird to me to go the 17-week
I know, it's stupid. I've been like retraining my brain to have that sound normal, but we'll see. To me, the best case scenario at this point seems to be that Wentz misses like 2 games. And you're talking about like a late September, early October return.
Right.
To me, that looks like the best case scenario. And I do hope that he ends up opting for the surgery just to nip this in the bud instead of playing through it and then realizing he needs surgery anyway. Because we see that so often, Jake, where guys try to play through it and then they struggle and then they ultimately opt for surgery. And then, at least we're still 6 weeks out from the start. Well, 5.5 now. Out from the start of the season, so there's a little bit of time to work with here.
We have plenty to get to and plenty to talk about over the course of the show today, right?
Yeah, the Pacers have a new draft class to welcome in. Some Pacers fans really upset with their pick, their number 13 pick.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. There was something else that was a big deal today. Where are my notes? Oh, I got to log back in. Hold on. All right, type in my password.
They have pen and paper.
Go to my
You can do
rundown.
pen and paper.
Well, I knew we were going to lead Wentz, so I didn't feel like there was the Cubs blowing it up. Wanted to talk about that.
Just another franchise, Derek. What did I predict?
Some people got mad at you about
What
that.
was my prediction? And was I right or wrong?
I mean, I guess.
Was I right or wrong?
I guess you're in the ballpark of right. I mean, I wouldn't say it's clear, black and white, you're right or wrong. I don't know. We'll get into that too. And I'm going to admit something embarrassing, which I rarely do because I really don't have anything to be embarrassed about.
You were wrong about
We'll
something.
talk about that. No, I really wasn't. I don't even remember taking the opposite side.
You ran into one of our key sponsors who's a twin, and you misidentified him.
No, because I didn't do that private. Like, I knew that was John Love. And I even told you, I texted you, hey, I saw John at the airport, and we talked about it before the show started.
Here's the thing. I didn't know which one you saw because neither one reached out to me to say that they had seen you. Because why would you?
I even said to you, I said, what's John's connection to back east? Because I knew Chris's wife was from Jersey and her parents lived in New England.
Right.
So clearly I identified him as John Love.
On the air when the mics were on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I choked. It happens. You know? Sometimes you just throw it right to Tracy Porter. There's no explanation for it. It's just a thing that happened.
Are we getting back to your confession of embarrassment next?
No, we're going to do that way late in the show. That's kind of a throwaway segment.
Okay.
Because I don't want to dig too deeply into my embarrassment.
Kind of like the Tracy Porter throwaway.
Oh, well. It's a lot of hurt for Colts fans.
That's right.
In this first segment of the show. Back with more next here on ISC Sports Network. It's Corey and Schultz.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
You're watching Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network.
Meet Chip. 30 years ago, he started a small business with a big idea. Today, there's a new building, a new fleet of equipment, and a new era of leadership. But we know Chip, and at Indiana Members Credit Union, we know he plans to keep growing, building business with the next generation. IMCU is here to help with secure and simple account management tools and commercial financing to grow business. Today, it's all about Chip. Tomorrow, it's all about you. Because at IMCU, it's you that matters.
Welcome back. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Jake, breaking news. I told you best case scenario, a couple of weeks for Carson Wentz.
So Carson Wentz is going to have surgery.
Yep, just confirmed by Frank Reich. We're taping this right now around noon on Monday. So literally just confirmed.
Okay, so Frank Reich has announced that Carson Wentz is having surgery. That puts his timetable at what?
5 to 12 weeks is what they're saying.
Question. Meaning 5 to 12 weeks from right now, or he will be playing
he's going to have surgery
week 5 to 12 of the season?
No, he's going to have surgery in the next 24 to 48 hours, I would think.
So 5 weeks from right now, he's back on the field.
Yeah.
And then he's at 100%
and that's
full
week
strength.
1. Well, I don't know if that's how timetables really work. I think what you generally do is take the middle portion of that. So I think this is going to be a 7 to 8 week thing, which is what we thought originally. Remember, they said surgery was 8 weeks, and 5 to 12 weeks, 8 would be right in the middle. So you're talking about, Jake, he's going to miss at least one game, and he's probably going to miss the first month of the season. I think you're looking at October for a comeback for Wentz.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Carson Wentz's first game.
You want me to pull up their schedule?
But here's the over-under, okay? When Carson Wentz appears in his first game of the season, will the Indy Scream Park be open?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You think it'll be open?
Yeah. It'll be October. I would think because here, week 5 is a Monday night game again at Baltimore. I don't think you'd bring him back for that.
Week 5, Derek, you're talking.
I think week 6, October 17th. I think that would be my guess on Carson Wentz's first game.
That's 12 weeks.
Yeah.
From now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you in the fact that
I'm always pessimistic about this.
Well,
stuff.
I mean, of
always.
course, Derek, remember Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
You know, the neck thing was, well, it's going to be 2 more weeks, 3 more. And I mean, by like, I remember here in like
Jake,
September saying he's out for the year.
I remember you saying in what year was that? I think 17. You said you felt like the Colts would be lucky to have luck by November. And I like laughed at it. And I was like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. And he missed the entire season. He didn't play. Yeah. He didn't throw 1 pass.
Right.
And that was in August or whatever it was.
You could just tell, right?
Yeah,
you could just tell when they just keep moving the goalposts.
You could. In hindsight, you could tell. I was trying to be optimistic and all of that. But, yeah, I think, honestly, I'm looking at this. I mean, there is no good week for a return because they have a 3-game road trip, week 3, 4, 5. And I guess you say, well, Schultz, what are you talking about? If he's healthy, he's going to play. Yeah. But I think you want to kind of strategically do this to ease him in as well. Like, I don't think they'd hold him out 3 extra weeks or anything like that, but I think they could hold him out an extra week if they felt like, hey, we're not ready to do this yet.
Could this be Kerry Collins where after 2 weeks they're like...
You know, and it's almost more of a problem because you would rather, and I get 5 to 12 means that week 1 is technically on the table, which I'd be shocked if he plays week 1. You'd rather just have the either-or timetable here, where if it's going to be this long, I'd almost rather it just be Wentz is out for the year so you knew exactly what to do, you know, and exactly how to react. Because now the Colts are kind of in this purgatory.
The only problem,
do they
Derek,
bring in a veteran? Because if it's only 2 or 3 games, you can buy your way through that.
Here's the thing.
At 1-2 or 2-1.
Here is the difference based on precedent, okay? When Peyton Manning was out for the year, you knew that they were, as a result of that, going to be the consolation prize of no Peyton Manning for the year was going to be that they were going to draft Andrew Luck and possibly still have Peyton Manning. When Andrew Luck was out for the year, the consolation was, at least theoretically at the time, you were going to get a healthy Andrew Luck. If Carson Wentz is out for the year, the consolation is next year, you get a healthy Carson Wentz.
But we knew going in that this was essentially a 2-year deal because you're giving yourself 2 years to find out who Wentz was. The problem is that you might have to punt the first year. Look, I don't want to be too doom and gloom here. It doesn't look like Wentz is going to miss the season, but just the fact that he's missing this much time, you start to wade into it. Is it even worth it for the Colts to kind of try here?
Here's what it feels like. It feels like the Colts have done a pretty nice job of building this new car, and yet when they went out and looked for their quarterbacks, they finally found one and then realized, oh, wait a minute, we forgot to check to see if he knows how to drive a stick. And it just can't get going. You know what I mean?
I just remember we did a Colts pregame show for 9 seasons at Slippery Noodle. So we saw basically every NFL fan base that came in there, visiting fan base. And it really struck me, and now the Bills have certainly turned it around, but the Dolphins and Bills in particular, their fans would never wear jerseys of current players.
Correct.
It'd always be Dolphins would be Marino, and like I remember seeing like a Mark Clayton jersey,
Zach Thomas,
yeah, people like that. And I remember turning to you and saying, God, it's so sad that you have to wear old jerseys because you got nobody new to kind of celebrate. And we had a discussion about trying to find your quarterback, which the Dolphins kept doing and are still doing, and the Bills look like they finally found theirs after 20 years. And you just wonder if the Colts, I hope not, are heading for that.
Well, I mean, Derek,
it displays how hard it is
I grew
to find
up,
that.
I'm telling you, I lived in this town pre-Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
When it was...
Every year there was a new guy. Yeah. Chandler,
Hagel,
Trudeau,
Schleister, Chandler, Trudeau, Hogaboom, Mikowski, Craig Erickson,
Harbaugh.
Kelly Holcomb, Steve Walsh, Jim Harbaugh, Ricky Turner. I mean, just on and every week, somebody different every week. Paul Justin. I remember Paul Justin was the guy. Lindy Infante. Paulie's the man. Okay.
It's a tough existence.
It is.
I mean, you look at this schedule, and you guys know it's front-loaded, right?
You got a message there. Do you want to check what that is? Do you want to see what that is? Huh?
He wants to know where the library card is.
Seattle. Library card.
The
It's
LA
in 1997. That's where it is.
We like to do audiobooks from the Libby app. Seattle, LA Rams.
The Rams
at
game.
Titans, at Dolphins, at Ravens. You're talking about all playoff teams, and the Dolphins won 11 games last year and didn't make the playoffs. You know, Houston, Niners, Titans, Jets, Jags. When you get in the middle portion of the season, you can do that. Week 6.
Yeah, I mean,
which I mentioned. That was what I predicted for his
Here's the other
return.
thing, though, Derek.
But if you're 1-4 at that point, Jake,
let's
God
say
forbid,
Houston,
0-5, what's the point?
Let's say Houston. If you go into the Houston game and you know that Wentz looks ready to go, but you feel like he could maybe use another week of rest, and Houston's your next opponent, do you roll him out there for that, knowing that that's the one game you could probably win with Brett Hundley?
Well, at 0-5, do you want to win the Houston game?
Depends on what Houston's
deep
doing,
down.
I guess.
Look, again, I know what the Colts will say publicly, but deep down, if you're looking at this for the future, do you even – if you're 0-5, your season's over. You're not you're not going anywhere at 0-5. I mean, you'd have to at least win 10 out of 12, and even that I'm not sure. In the AFC, I'm not even sure if that gets you in. I'm not sure if 10-7 is good enough. Probably not. 11-5 wasn't good enough last year, for God's sake, and that was with an extra playoff team. Again, I don't want to be hyperbolic. This is a complete catastrophe for the Colts. I mean, it just is. This is a disaster.
It is.
It is the worst possible scenario for them to enter this season.
Partially
with so
because
much
they had no
optimism
backup plan
and expectations.
There's no backup
plan.
plan.
But you never. Tom Moore's old quote: "We don't practice F word." Right? When your starter goes down, there really is no hope.
I think there's a difference between Peyton Manning and Carson Wentz in the differences, but yes, I understand what you're saying.
If you want some hope as far as your mortgage is concerned and refinancing,
that is correct.
Check out our friends at Bailey and Wood Financial Group. Sorry, it's hard to transition out of the doom and gloom.
BawFG.com, right?
Yeah, that's my line, but thanks. BAWFG.com, 855-350-HOME.
You know what, Derek?
Right?
You know what I feel like right now? I feel like the mortgage rates.
They're still low.
Low, I know.
They're still low.
I know, so am I.
You still have time. I mean, if you haven't refied yet, you're just burning. Like, take your wallet. Sorry, my shorts are a little tight. Take your wallet, put it in a trash can.
You actually have a billfold wallet.
Put lighter fluid on it and just light it on fire, because that's what you're doing every month.
Can we play a fun game of what's in your wallet? Can I play this?
If you're not refining right now with Bailey and Wood Financial Group with these rates, you're lighting money on fire.
What license is this?
It's my Indiana license.
Is that the new license?
Yeah. It's got an IndyCar on it on the bottom.
Those are fancy.
Isn't that sharp? Yeah.
I've never seen those new ones.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with you having all of my personal information at your fingertips there.
I'm just looking through to see what all's in your wallet here. You got some fun stuff.
It's my wife's HSA card because I'm on her insurance.
Okay. What do we got here?
Sam's Club.
Okay. Yeah.
Costco.
You need both those?
We do both. Yeah. We have memberships to both.
Okay. That's important. Let's see what
debit card.
Several cards.
Schultz Media LLC business card.
What?
I have my own business. Schultz Media LLC. So that's my business card.
Query Painting.
Yeah, it's weird. I have a credit card in there that I barely use and a Target card.
Zoom
there's some personal things that are in there too that I don't want you to see.
What is this, Trojan?
No, there's not.
That's okay.
I got a vasectomy, my man, so I'm good.
Okay. Oh, you have bills in there too. That's fun. Yeah,
I have the receipt from the night that I proposed to my wife at the restaurant.
That's cool.
In there, and then there's a note in there from my first day on the job that she sent me.
Is that the receipt down here?
No, like I said, I don't want you to dig through the notes.
Chipotle. Okay.
Like I said, I don't want you to dig through.
Must have been a fun evening.
It was Qdoba.
Okay.
They were running a 2-for-1. But I actually have cash in my wallet, which I'm kind of excited about.
What if your wife had said no? Would you have kept the receipt?
Probably not. For me, there were a lot of prospects. I just needed kind of one to hit. It was like when Theo and the Cubs, you didn't necessarily need Baez, Bryant, all those guys to hit. You could have an Addison Russell or somebody like that who didn't work out, I guess, for some other reasons that were on there. And it still worked out. Or Philly. The Sixers, all you needed really was for Embiid and Simmons to hit. You didn't need Fultz and everyone else to hit.
Well, Fultz didn't.
No.
Speaking of the Cubs, Derek, how about
we teased the Pacers.
I know, but I want to mention this about the Cubs. I get it. When the Cubs, I remember when we were doing the show and the Cubs were on the cusp of the World Series, and I said, look, if they were to win the World Series, then a large part of their identity is gone. The long-suffering, tough luck, cry-in-your-beer Cub fan becomes any other fan. And, yeah, it's the greatest ballpark in baseball, and it's a great experience, and Cubs fans are great. I get all that. But guess what? Now, the the heartache of seeing a team that brought you, you had this vision of a dynasty, and then it's just broken up and they're all elsewhere now. Cub fans that were like all crying a river, I'm like, well, where have you been? Did you think you were immune to this? This is what, but it's the fact that they just fire sailed it and they, okay. I mean, it happens all the time. Talk to the Florida Marlins.
I remember the Colts had one day where they cut
I realize
Brackett.
they're now the Miami Marlins.
They cut Gary Brackett, Dallas Clark. There was somebody else
Ryan
that
Dean?
they cut in there. Yeah. Well, I think Dean was just a free agent maybe and then retired. But they had a cut down day like that where it wasn't necessarily core pieces, but guys that had been there forever that were, fan favorites. And that to have it all happen in 24, I really thought they were going to keep one. Like I thought out of Baez, maybe you say, what's the point if you're tear it down the whole way? So I guess I understand that, but I could kind of understand the pain of it, even if you knew that it was coming. To have it all happen in like a 24 to 48 hour period would be tough.
But every franchise goes through it at some point, and the Cubs are no different.
Yeah.
This is the first time.
Here's what I would say to Cubs fans.
This is the first time in the lifetime of any Cub fan that they've seen it and had memories of a World Series.
Yeah. You still got one. Cherish the one. I know you want more than one, and the narrative after the Colts here was, well, Manning only won one. Yeah, so what, man? The one was awesome. It was great. People remember it forever. And people remember that. Cubs fans, everybody else will remember it forever. I mean, think about it this way. For the Cubs, you could be the White Sox and nobody remembers your championship. Who won the 2005 World Series? What? That existed? Like, I actually feel bad, and we have friends that are White Sox friends. I feel bad for how irrelevant that championship is to anybody that's not a White Sox fan. Like, literally no one cares. Whereas with the Cubs, it was like almost this celebration. It was the last sports story in American sports yet to be told. The Cubs break through and win, right? We already did with the Red Sox and so many of these other teams. So, yeah, it's tough. It's also tough to see all those guys homer in their first game. I mean,
That's amazing.
Rizzo, Bryant, and Baez all went yard in their first game with their new team. But this was really a 6-year run that was really a 4-year run. Because the last couple of years, the Cubs they'd been underachieving.
They have.
They'd been underachieving. There had been drama.
The drama's
the ownership change, and that's been a problem with spending, and they gave away Yu Darvish, and there have been a lot of missteps along the way that have kind of led to this point. But man, 2015 to 2018, they won 95 games 3 times. They went to 3 straight NLCSs. They won the ship. That was a really, really great team.
I'm really tired of hearing people say winning a ship or a chip. They won a title.
Yeah,
they got
the
chip. In baseball,
chip.
they won the World Series.
They got the chip.
It sounds ridiculous. Everybody says that now.
Put a ring on it.
Okay.
Got the chip.
Okay.
That's what matters.
Baez is I do like Baez. He's a great player.
Yeah. And we'll see what happens with Rizzo because he appears to be just a rental for the Yankees.
He's playing well, though, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess the Yankees are kind of in like the second. I don't know what they're thinking. Because I don't think that team's going anywhere this year, but maybe that's a topic for a different show.
You're not a Yankee fan.
No, I am a Yankee fan.
I mean, but I'm saying you're not a fan of this particular
I don't think
doing.
this team, they're not better than Boston. They're not better than Tampa, and that's the only two that matter.
Best team in baseball is?
I still think it's the Dodgers.
I mean, they're loading up again, right?
Yeah, hard to say no to that. But
Clayton Kershaw might not even be the Dodgers' best pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, they've really gone all in. But that's what you should do. Again, this kind of goes back to the Gleyber-Torres Chapman deal, where a lot of people were upset because Torres was the Cubs' top prospect. Hey, what are you doing? When you have a chance to go all in, I mean, can you imagine what we'd say about these guys if they didn't end up winning one?
Right.
Then that would be the true heartbreak because you would think that this group would be a dynasty. But now instead they're the 80s Mets. Or at least they got one, but...
Well, a little different scenario in terms of what led to their downfall.
Yeah.
We need to get to Pacer draft?
Yeah, let's do that next.
Okay. All right, we'll do it. We'll talk about the Pacers draft as they have not one but 2 first-rounders that'll be in the mix next year as rookies. We will explain and discuss next on Corey and Schultz.
The buzzer. She got it! my goodness, what a shot!
Hello! Did it again. Hello! Made the highlight reel again. That goes to Menser and all kinds of room to run. Down the middle of the field, and he will not be touched. Jackson, hello! There we go.
Stokes throws it, caught, ball ricochets.
Wow.
A huge hit.
Wow.
This has been an amazing display of goal scoring.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Welcome back. It is Corey and Schultz here on ISC Sports Network. Sorry, we had a problem with our face-fronting monitor, so you see this one, but I can't see myself, and I really
That's a problem?
I really don't like not being able to see myself.
You got to learn to do TV on the fly, buddy.
Yeah, it's hard for me. See, because usually I can see, and then I can see, okay, does this look good? Do I need to adjust? So I don't know. I mean, I think I look good, don't get me wrong, but, like, could I look even better than I look right now? And I'm kind of flying blind when it comes to that because I got a new shirt and everything. Gonna wear the hat?
I am.
That is good promotion for Chateau Kitchens. Jake Query of the IndyCar Radio Network wearing your hat. Stephen Moore and his crew over at Chateau Kitchens will take care of you or any home remodeling project that you have. They are also some of the best cabinet manufacturers in central Indiana. That's what they did for my kitchen remodel. They put in new cabinetry, and it's beautiful. And it's withstood the test of time. It's hard to believe. It's been 4 years since I had that kitchen put in from Chateau Kitchens. But from design with Victoria all the way to project manager, my project manager was Ryan, and the general oversight, which was Steven. He's the owner of the group. Chateau Kitchens is with you every step of the way. You can check them out.
Chateau Kitchens.
No, it's not called Chateau. It's called Chateau Kitchens. ChateauKitchens.com. Also, you can check them out online on Instagram and Facebook at Chateau Kitchens.
This should be, I could do this
and
for
their
them
showroom
on Instagram.
up on Carmel Drive in Carmel. You can check that out as well. They have 30,000 followers on Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, about to be 35 once they see this picture.
Yeah. It's been hard for me to get followers on Instagram, which is surprising because it's mostly photos of me, so you think people would want to follow that.
What kind of photos you putting up there?
I put risque stuff sometimes in my stories.
Okay. Risque stuff. This kind of thing?
Yeah. Don't you like on Instagram where, like, people
The timeless
will post,
art of seduction, Derek.
they'll post, like, 4 photos, and it's all of them standing in the same spot, but they're, like, maybe tilting their head different ways? Also, just kind of a PSA, if you're working out and you post a video of you working out, like, I don't
Every
get
day?
that. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get why I would want to watch somebody else lift weights.
Right.
Or these people that talk about, oh, my God, I went through it and my trainer just killed me today. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, you have an 8-pack. What are you talking about? There's no way that killed your abs. Like, you can break stone on your abs.
My trainer killed me today one is
Come
always
on.
a good one, right?
Give me a break. You wanted to talk Pacers. Let's do that.
Yeah, so the Pacers, first off, we'll talk about, the fact that as usually the case with Kevin Pritchard on draft night, they were pretty active in terms of trades. They moved basically into getting themselves a second first-round pick. It was kind of confusing because then they were every 5 minutes you were hearing about a second-round pick the Pacers were making, but it wasn't for them. It was for other
The
places.
NBA league rules are so dumb.
Well, I mean, New Orleans, for example, they drafted Zaire Williams. And so I made the joke like, oh, man, Zaire Williams and Zion Williams and his teammates won't be confusing at all, now will it? And people are like, oh, moron, they drafted from Memphis. And I'm like, listen, I had it on I was doing stuff. But when he's
trying to make
announcing
your
it,
joke. Yeah.
when he's announcing it, the background has the Pelicans and it says Pelicans selection.
They make him wear the hat even when they know that they're not going to play for that
team. I realized
it's so stupid.
It was for Memphis. But at any rate, the draft always cracks me up because I remember Bobby Portis. When the Pacers passed on Bobby Portis.
Arkansas?
Correct.
Right, yeah.
And I think it was the Miles Turner year. But there were people like, they got to take oh my gosh, they got to take Bobby Portis. How can they not take Bobby Portis? And he's a nice player. He had obviously a nice resurgence for the Bucks and was a good player for them. But when you're drafting, the same with Goga. When they drafted, I can't believe they took Goga Batadze. What a bust. What a terrible pick. He was drafted like 26th or whatever he was.
Yeah.
Who did you want them to take? Who was available?
I think it was 15th, right? Was Goga?
Was he that?
Yeah, I think
high?
It was the middle of the first round.
But regardless, it's not about what the player does. It's who did you pass on. Now, in this situation with Duarte. 18, okay. With Duarte, the thing that I think, Derek, I like the pick. I do. And the reason I like the pick is because, and I'm not saying this isn't the case with Moody, who's the player that went a pick later that a lot of people wanted the Pacers to take. And I know that Moses Moody is athletic and he can score, and he's only 19. So that's intriguing. But for the Pacers, I think, and you got to keep in mind, it's easy to forget, Rick Carlisle is – with Rick Carlisle coaching, you got to figure that Rick Carlisle had some say as well in looking at where he felt they were. What are we doing?
Sorry, I got to turn.
Are we doing a show here? What are we doing? I mean, we're doing a live. Sorry. We're doing a program live to tape, and you got your phones on, and you're getting emails going.
Phone was on silent, but it's linked to my MacBook.
Do you want to take a quick break, and we'll come back?
We're good.
Is there anybody you need?
You were making a good point that I was completely paying attention to. So please continue.
I'm sure you were. This tells me that Rick Carlisle sat down and looked at it and said, I don't think we're far off. Now, I'm not saying from getting an NBA title, but in other words, we don't need a complete rebuild blow-up here. We have a team that we need a plug-in guy. And by that, I mean a guy that can give you 15, 18 minutes a night as a rookie and is going to have the maturity and the composure to be able to be plugged in like that. And so they said, okay, that's fine. What kind of guy do you want? I need a guy that can score if he's left alone, and then a guy that can defend the wing. If you look at Miles Turner and there's always discussion about why is Miles Turner, with the blocks that he gets, why is he not routinely listed as Defensive Player of the Year or getting defensive awards? Because the league sees Miles Turner not as a good. I'm not saying that they see him as a bad defender. But I think they see his block totals as the product of a poor wing defensive team that just funnels everything into the middle, so somebody has to get the stops. I personally like Miles Turner a great deal. But my point being, they are not very good at stopping on the wings. They basically let everyone by because they're like, well, Miles Turner's there. They need to start stopping that on the outside. They knew they needed a wing defender, a Solomon Hill-type wing defender. And Solomon Hill's not a great player, Derek, but he was a very good wing defender. And he was a very good complement to Paul George as a wing defender. Duarte, I think, is a wing defender, first and foremost, in their opinion, who also can score for him.
Yeah, 3-and-D guy, right? That's what the term that we always use. I think what they like about him, too, is that he can play 6'6". He can play multiple positions. So he can be 2, 3, 4 even, I guess, in a pinch if you're going a little bit smaller. I like it too, and generally I don't like the old low-ceiling picks. Like Tyler Hansbrough, to me, we don't talk about it enough. Tyler Hansbrough, to me, was a really huge bust for them because he was a complete low-ceiling bench guy, and you had like Drew Holiday and Jeff Teague, and you had some higher-ceiling guys at a position of need. But I totally agree with you. He fits what the Pacers need. And at 24 years old, he can come in and play right away, and it sounds like other teams really wanted him. So what's that say about Duarte? That I'd be lying to you if I said that I watched a ton of Oregon basketball, but from what I read about him, he seems to fit.
He's the oldest player drafted in like so many years. I mean, it is rare anymore. 24, something's got to be wrong.
And the list of players that have been old that have been drafted have not. It's not really. Buddy Yield is on there, who's okay, pretty good, but it's not a great list of guys.
Who was the quarterback?
Brandon Whedon. Yeah. 28.
He was 36, though, right?
Well, yeah, it might have been a Danny Almonte or Albert Pujols kind of type situation there.
I think the bigger intrigue, to be honest with you, Derek, is the player they took with their second pick in the first round when they moved up into the first round.
Yeah.
And then they go and they take a kid out of Kentucky that kind of feels like a Miles Turner clone, and that makes you wonder, is that because they like what they see out of Miles Turner and they just want to be able to reset that when Turner gets longer in the tooth, or does that mean that they're looking at roster changes?
I thought that was interesting that Isaiah Jackson is viewed more of a project, especially offensively, but a guy that has the potential to be an elite-level defender because he's got a 7'5" wingspan and can really get out and guard and block shots. So I think Carlisle said we wanted to do I'm paraphrasing, take a safe pick and then a swing pick. And so obviously Jackson is the swing pick where he's 19 and he was born in January. So, I mean, he is one of the youngest players in this entire draft class.
January?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, his birthday's January, so he literally just turned 19 in 2021.
The one thing about the draft that I strongly feel, and I know that there were only a few of them, I don't know which one it is going to be. But in 5 years, somebody's going to look back and say, I can't believe we passed on Jalen Suggs.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's actually one of our features that we have coming up, so I don't want to ruin the surprise. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to ruin the surprise on that.
Well, that's a good
But
tease.
look, people mad about, well, Moody's 19 and we want the 19-year-old. I get what the Pacers are doing. It's very unlikely that Chris Duarte is anything more than a complimentary starter. That's probably what his ceiling is, which is fine. At 13,
right? I mean,
at 13, that's fine. And I get that it's not exciting, but I understand what the Pacers are trying to do. And I think they know deep down they're not bringing back McDermott. McDermott's going to be, they can't afford him. They're going to bring back McConnell. And I think that's even more obvious now that Aaron Holiday was traded.
How about Aaron Holiday?
That McConnell's going to come back and McDermott's going to go. So this was not only a fit for perimeter defense, which you astutely pointed out, Jake, but also a Doug McDermott contingency plan because I think deep down they know they're not going to be able to retain him.
If you're Aaron Holiday, are you excited about going to
Washington? Yeah, you're thrilled. I mean, it's
really?
It's one of those things. It just didn't work out. I don't think that Aaron Holiday was ever as good as people thought that he could be, but at the same time, I thought he had an extremely short leash.
He did.
It just felt like every time Holiday had a bad game or a bad moment, yank. And it was kind of like,
he's a classic example of, a change of scenery probably is going to do him well.
Yeah.
I would agree. But T.J. McConnell, it really wasn't any knock on Aaron Holiday. T.J. McConnell just, it was hard. It became harder and harder to keep him off the floor, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's good to be T.J. McConnell now because you talk about you have all the leverage in the world. You know that the Pacers have basically set up draft night depending on you to come back. So now if I'm his agent, I'm thinking to myself, well, I know you want me, so how much do you want me? I mean, he probably comes back for like $7 million a year because I don't think the market outside of Indiana is very good. T.J. McConnell is one of those guys that is much more valuable to the Pacers than he is to anybody else.
Did you like that song, Don't You Want Me by the Human League? Wonderful song. One of my favorite songs of 1982.
Don't you want me, baby?
Yeah. You were working as a waitress in a cocktail bar.
I thought it was hotel bar.
No, it's cocktail bar.
Are you sure?
Actually, he says you were working as a waitress. Then her verse is, I was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. That much is true.
One of those two-hit wonders because they did Sunglasses at Night, too, didn't they?
No, that's Corey Hart. Human League did that, and then Fascination. Keep feeling fascination.
I don't know that. Did they do Shout, Shout, Let
No, that's
It
Tears
All
for
Out?
Fears. That was off Songs from the Big Chair, 1985. It's a great song. Great song.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get a little mixed up sometimes.
Yeah, you do.
On
That is
80s
correct.
Music, just a little bit.
You
don't give me enough credit, though, because I have a very deep well of knowledge when it comes to those bands and songs and the issues of the 80s.
Okay.
And there were a lot of them. People really had issues then.
Yeah, really? Like the new Coke?
Which Coke are we talking about? The drink or crack?
We're not talking about the Mets.
Okay.
Again, we're talking about
Yeah, that's right.
Let's
get to one of our features.
Okay.
And this is a new feature with an old sponsor.
Okay.
We really appreciate the support of WGU Indiana, who's been with us, I think, since day one. Weren't they on the first show?
Yeah.
I think they were.
And you got to love WGU Indiana. WGU.edu/Indiana. What exactly is that, Jake? Well, I'll tell you. It is actually Indiana's largest online accredited university. That is correct. If you are, whether or not you want to just do something on your own schedule, maybe after the kids get to bed or when you have that break during the daytime, and you just think to yourself, there's a new degree that I'd like, or maybe you want to finish a degree that you haven't gotten around to, that's what WGU Indiana does. WGU.edu/Indiana. And again, ambition never rests. That's why we love not only WGU, but Sage as well. Because you see right there, Sage is dialed in, zeroing in on an online degree. And Derek, our feature is somebody who's on the move, right?
No, the Sage move of the week, so it could be anything.
That's what it just said, move, right?
Well, not somebody that's on the move necessarily, but just a move that somebody made.
A savvy move that somebody
like
made.
It could even be a crossover dribble.
Like drafting Jalen Suggs?
Yeah. That somebody does, like a move or like a juke.
You look like Mark Jackson right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the initial
Sage move of the week.
Sage move of the week.
It's Jalen Suggs. I think Orlando, Sage move of the week. He kind of fell in your lap, but to get Jalen Suggs at number 5,
Agreed.
I mean, I'm kind of like you. I was really surprised that he fell out of the top 3.
I thought
there were early mocks had him at number 2. I thought. I guess that changes, but
I think he was worthy of being the number 1 overall pick.
He's got something. Well, it was just really hard to go.
I get it.
Cade is viewed as one of those can't miss guys that and kind of rarely happens anymore.
In the interviews and the things I saw from Cade Cunningham, I was like, hey, yeah. I'm cool with this. Like he's a.
But Suggs to me,
does the cupping.
You pointed this out. He just has something I feel like, and this is going to sound cliched and stupid, and I try to avoid these a lot of times, but I agree with you here. I just feel like he's got something you can't teach. Like for him, the heady plays that he made in that epic Final Four game against UCLA, and then of course he hit the game-winning shot. For a freshman to do that, it was incredible to me. And Orlando they become such a disaster franchise. If you really look at the first 20 years of the Orlando Magic, they were great. Shaq and Penny, they made the 95 finals. They went back again in 2009. And really the last 10 years, Jake, of Orlando Magic basketball, they've been awful. And they've had all these guys that have come through that they've drafted high that have just kind of been, like Mo Bamba and guys,
right.
Whatever. They desperately need a face of that franchise, and I think he can be that.
I'm telling you, I think the world of him. So that's – I don't know how sage a move it was for Orlando because, to your point, it seemed like a no-brainer. But nonetheless, I'm excited and curious to see what he does in Orlando. I think the world of him, so the Magic have to be thrilled. As thrilled as you folks could be if you were to complete a degree from WGU Indiana. That's WGU.edu/Indiana.
We have plenty more features to get to, including our Love That Play, some soccer that we're going to put in there. Not the U.S. women's national team,
do I get to do my goal call?
No, you do not get to do that.
People love that.
And then the Shop Spider Bull Bleep, and the thing that I'm embarrassed about.
What's that?
Well, I'm not going to tell you now.
It's called the fact that you're not able to say
it's called
goal.
I am able to say that. It's Corey and Schultz here on ISC Sports Network. Please do not turn off the show as much as you might want
to. Meet Kate. She has a lot to juggle. Family, work, it can lead to trying days and tired nights. But we know Kate, and at Indiana Members Credit Union, we know at some point her space at a premium life may change. IMCU is here to help Kate and you find your space. Now, add on or remodel with an introductory rate of 1.9% APR on a home equity line of credit. Today, it's all about Kate. Tomorrow, it's all about you. Because at IMCU, it's you that matters.
You're watching Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network.
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Your life is on the go. Now your viewing habits can be on the go. With the ISC Sports Network app, your team is at your fingertips. You can download years' worth of content from the ISC Sports Network library. High school, college, special events, weekly and monthly shows, wherever you find your favorite app. And you can always find out more information at iscsportsnetwork.com.
potty break in there.
I was doing that the entire.
I thought you'd have to take a bathroom break. So
You were
hoping
wanting
I
to,
wouldn't be
weren't you?
subjected to that for 2 straight minutes.
Wasn't that great though?
Welcome back
People
to Corey
love
and
my
Schultz
goal calls. I should have
here
been
on
a soccer
Sports
announcer.
Network. Love that play.
Then you have to excitedly say what team it was that scored the goal. Like, who would you want me to name the team?
Well, the Americans. They won 1-0.
So do I just say
USA.
So once you finish the goal,
Generally, the international people say USA.
USA. Yeah. You got
Like Americans don't really say USA when it comes to that. Like USA wins, you'd say America, right? I think we refer to it more America, but I think internationally it's more USA. Anyway, love that play. Brought to you by our friends at Love Heating and Cooling. Some of the best customer service that you'll receive in the USA, certainly in Central Indiana.
Absolutely.
Love-HVAC.com, 353-2141. Chris, who was not at the Baltimore airport 2 weeks ago, and
correct.
John, who was at the Baltimore airport
there you go.
2 weeks ago.
Way to get that correct.
Do a great job with their entire team. There's a reason they've been in business since 1920.
Customer service, 24-hour on-call maintenance, 353-2141, love-hvac.com.
Full disclosure, and I always try to do this, I want to be as upfront and genuine with everybody as possible. I am very much a soccer novice. But the Gold Cup final was last night, which is essentially the championship of the CONCACAF. So it's the Latin American, North American.
I thought, and I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be snarky here. So you stop me here or correct me or whatever. I thought we did this already.
There was a different event that they just created that the U.S. also won a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember what that was called.
Okay.
We have Rake in there. He could probably tell us. So Team USA's had the U.S. men's national team, they're 11-1 in 2021. They've had a couple of victories over Mexico, which is their biggest rival. But apparently last night in the Gold Cup final, they had kind of their B team out there against Mexico's A team, but they still won. And so they're very young with a new coach or manager. I guess we're talking soccer, so I guess you have to say manager. And they won 1-0 on Miles Robinson's goal in the 117th minute. So congratulations to the Americans, but it was a nice play off Acosta. Was it a free kick, right?
It was a corner kick, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, free kick. I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool for sure.
There's nothing better than soccer. You can say what you want about soccer. There's nothing better than soccer goal / subsequent celebration.
Well, especially
it's the best thing in sports.
I will say that I've never understood why guys rip their shirt off.
Oh, I would.
Well,
I mean, I do on a fairly regular basis anyway, but if I was a soccer star, I definitely would.
The best thing about goals like that to end it is that means we don't go to the penalty kicks.
Yeah.
Because
PKs are kind of annoying.
It's the same as NHL. The penalty kicks in soccer, I mean, basically it's a coin flip.
Yeah.
If you kick it the same direction that the goalie chose, it's probably going to get blocked, and if not, it's a goal.
Can we go back to your shirtless comment? Because this is something that I thought about, and people laughed at this, and I don't know why, because I think it'd be a great idea. I always thought that if I was like a really great soccer player, I would get a tattoo right here that said +1. And so every time I scored, I would just take my shirt off and just point to the +1 because you're up a goal or I just scored.
What if you were already up 2?
Well, but you added 1 to the ledger, +1. I also thought about doing it on my bicep, and then you'd flex, and then the 1 would like kind of rip. I mean, your bicep wouldn't do that, but mine would ripple. And that'd be like a sick celebration, wouldn't it?
What if you were really sneaky and you had a tattoo that you reserved only for when you had already a 2-goal lead, and then when you score, you then flex the +3 on your tricep? I mean, that makes as much sense as whatever the bicep ripple or whatever the hell you're talking about.
Why are you the way you are? You're just
brilliant.
Do you have to just be a weirdo?
Always thinking.
You have to think about a 3-goal lead and put something on your tricep. Why would somebody do that? That sounds ridiculous.
Let me tell you something, okay?
+1 sounds super cool and normal, and I'm surprised nobody's done it yet.
Can you feel the corners around you?
No.
Because you're in a box and I'm living outside it.
Okay, well, I don't want to be outside that box. I'm very comfortable in my own box. I don't want to be near whatever the area that is outside that's near your box is.
I'm just glad you finally found one.
I will definitely pass on that. So thanks to Love Heating and Cooling, as always, for our Love That Play.
Love-HVAC.com.
From one of our old sponsors to a new one, Indiana Members Credit Union.
Gotta like that.
Now on board with us, IMCU.
They specifically asked, Indiana Members Credit Union specifically asked, they were like, look, we like the fact, we want people to know that we are fresh, we are obviously fast-paced, you know, we're up there. Don't do that. You look like a squirt. Yeah, I mean, you look ridiculous.
I'm excited.
Well, I get that.
Here, something else. We just talked about the tattoo. Something else, lifelong dream of mine. I've always wanted to be in an IMCU commercial.
Really?
Yeah, because remember George Hill was in one, and we did the George Hill show, and IMCU was on board for that. This was many, many moons ago when George Hill was with the Pacers. And there was just this one scene where George Hill, I think they had an end scene of him walking out of an IMCU branch, but also one where he's like handing a check or something like that, or back and forth. And I always thought to myself, man, I could do that. And I wish they would let me do that. And they originally were like, well, wait, you don't play for the Pacers.
Right.
I said, no. And they said, will you play for the Colts? And I said, well, no, but I'm like a really
But
well-known.
I look like the kicker? Yeah,
I'm a really well-known radio personality. This was 8 years ago. And they kind of laughed me out of the room. But I heard through back channels that they are more receptive to that now. And I think part of me getting my foot in the door to eventually appearing in an IMCU commercial is them coming on board to sponsor us.
Okay.
So if the good folks at IMCU are watching, which I'm sure they are right now, just keep that in mind. Derek@QuarryandSchultz.com. That's all media inquiries go to my inbox. So we're excited to have IMCU aboard.
Is that
IMCU, a full-service financial institution offering free checking accounts with e-statements,
is that
low auto rates,
inbox? Is that
and
part
more.
of that wallet you have?
See what IMCU can do for you. Head to imcu.com. Membership savings required, federally insured by NCUA.
Again, Indiana Members Credit Union. Derek had mentioned the fact that he has his little business card in your wallet, right?
Yep.
I noticed that your wallet's gotten a little bit bigger, and it can get even bigger once you become a member of Indiana Members Credit Union, right?
You should have them on your team for sure. And again, kind of like this show, support local, right?
Right.
Indiana Members
You're right.
Credit Union. You don't want to. Yeah, the national banks, they don't care. You have to call the customer service line. It sucks.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to go right in locally,
and
right?
somebody that lives right in your neighborhood or at least right in your area.
You said it's a new feature?
We will have a new feature once the football season begins.
Okay.
So for now, this is basically us just welcoming IMCU aboard. You've seen some of their commercials during our show.
Aren't you supposed to admit to something that embarrasses you or you were embarrassed by?
Yep, we'll get to that when we come back and wrap up. We've got the Shop's Bite or Bull Bleep too.
Bite or Bull Schultz.
Yep, no, Bite or Bull Bleep. I said
From
it
the
correctly.
shop.
And we'll tie a bow on this episode 46, Lee Smith / Andy Pettit edition
That's right.
of Query and Schultz. We're starting to struggle with that. ISC Sports Network, the number thing.
Well, we're getting up into the numbers. Okay.
Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service, but at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
McCulling in time. Oh, no! It's good.
This one is gone.
There you go.
Wow, Dawson makes a great catch.
Spin, win, 3, bury it for Leland Walker.
Tie the game they do with the dunk by Malik Edmonds. What a play.
Oh, my goodness.
I feel a little momentum starting to fall Ellen's way.
That is Wrestler! Whoa!
It's here. The moment that will define you. So think of this moment as your moment. The one you've been waiting for. You were built for it. And so were we. WGU, the online university where ambition never rests.
Welcome back, final time here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network, alongside Jay Query. I'm Derek Schultz. Thanks so much for watching the show. You can see us in person coming up here a week from when you're watching this. If you're watching this on a Tuesday.
Numeric date, though, is
August 10th.
Okay.
We're going to be live at Victory Field. So our next show will be live at the Vic.
That's cool.
Yeah, and we're going to have some Indians guests with us there. The great Howard Kellman. It's hard to believe that it's been 2 years since we've done that show, because that was such a big part of our summer in the old radio days. But we have such great
who was
friendships and relationships over there with the Indians, and Randy Lewandowski and Joel Zawacki and Shane Ryder and Howard and Chad Bohm. And
are you going to wear your Razor Shines jersey for that?
I can break it back out. I know you've been really jealous about that.
Razor Shines.
Best thing about that Razor Shines jersey is that it's a V-neck, which I prefer because it gives you a little peek. Like, I don't want to give you the whole thing. I want to leave some mystery about what all's under here, but I just want to give you a little peek.
Okay. That's horrific.
People are interested. I'm kind of embarrassed to say this, and part of the reason that we haven't discussed this, first off, I don't think, like the Simone Biles thing, by the time we taped our show, that was kind of old news.
Right.
And you and I have always kind of avoided those topics. Like, should Simone Biles do it for the team or should she sit out? Like, to me, like, I don't really care what she did. It's her life.
Right.
It's her decision. I haven't watched 1 second of the Olympics. I just haven't.
I don't think you're alone there.
I've checked the results, so I've been invested enough to at least care to see what USA women's and men's basketball and soccer have done. The women obviously losing to Canada, so now they're only going to be able to play for the bronze. I saw that the swim teams have been pretty dominant, and even individually, like Lily King, they've won medals. But I haven't sat down to watch it.
Okay, couple of things
I haven't
here,
cared
Derek.
enough to do that.
Number one, I think the time difference has a lot to do with it. I know it sounds weird, but I can never tell what's live and what's not. And many of the big events, but when it happens, if it's not like if it happens like at 4 a.m. our time, yeah, I get up and I see the result, and it's airing tonight at 7:00. Well, I already know what happened.
Yeah, me too.
Every time I've turned it on, and I know that there are multiple platforms, it has predominantly because the Olympics kind of goes in shifts. Like, we're now kind of starting to shift into the track and field stuff, which is I love watching
Me too.
that stuff.
That's always been my favorite. So maybe this will change.
But in terms of swimming, it's been predominantly every time I've turned it on, it's United States, Great Britain, Australia, and Russia. And like South Africa has a couple of swim, but it's like the same 6 countries. To me, and nothing against, Dressel, who's been amazing and has, I think, 5 golds, and Katie Ledecky and Lily King. And I mean, there have been some great stories. But to me, what is really fun about the Olympics is not even the story of like, oh my goodness, somebody's going for their 6th gold. I think I speak for a lot of people where I say what I really enjoy is, here's the Tunisian swimmer that has one pool in their entire country and learned how to swim.
It's pretty cool.
Or the gal that
somebody from the Philippines won the first medal ever from the Philippines.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, stuff like that is
the
the great story of the Olympics, right? And I feel like they've kind of gotten away from that coverage of it. I understand why, but like I said, the time difference has a lot to do with it. I just think also because I guess the Summer Olympics are always in the summer, right? But as I've gotten older, Derek, and the weather's been nice outside, I want to be outside.
How about this? You want a Jake Query thought here? You grow up kind of in the last height of the Cold War, and a lot of these Olympic events could be, there was this underlying storyline of good versus evil, right?
Right.
USA against the bad, even going back to Jesse Owens in Germany.
Right.
From which actually was legitimately a good versus evil. But now I just feel like people are kind of jaded. Not that people don't, I still deeply love America, but you're more aware of the warts and the nuance of good and bad.
Well,
than you were in 1984.
Quite frankly, I get tired of in the Olympics, everybody is playing for the United States of America, and I get tired of people within this country that have to find out the political leanings of said athlete before determining whether or not they're truly American and worthy of rooting for. Come on, man.
And you see that with the women's team and, whatever.
It just turns me off to it.
Well, and you see it with the way Simone Biles, the detractors from how I think she was treated, where I think she has the freedom. It's America, right? You have freedom to make whatever decision you want when it comes to that stuff. But I just feel like,
one thing about
the fever pitch patriotism that you had 30 years ago,
I think that's
isn't
correct.
as much.
I think that's true.
Prevalent.
Now, one thing I've noticed, you've seen Back to the Future, right?
Yeah, that is one movie I have seen.
In the end of Back to the Future, when Doc Brown comes back and he's like, Marty, we got to go. I got to do something about your kids, which is obviously setting up Back to the Future 2, which I've not seen. But Doc Brown has on those ridiculous-looking like Oakley Blade, the big thick ones that are like rainbow colored. I see a bunch of the athletes wearing these. Is this a thing now?
I haven't watched, so I don't know.
But you're hip.
I'm kind of embarrassed to say.
You're hip with the fashions. Like, are
I don't
these?
know. Well, I don't know the
aren't
swim
coming,
goggle fashion.
But I'm saying I'm not talking about swim goggles. I'm talking about athletes wearing the big, huge, like ski-looking blade sunglasses. Is that a thing?
I hope so. Big sunglasses are the best. I hope big sunglasses come back.
Okay.
Love them.
All right.
That's another thing that's right in your wheelhouse.
What?
You should be embracing like all of these, like short shorts and all that stuff. I don't know why. Like I've really embraced it. You haven't.
Short shorts?
Or just tight pants in general. Like I'm just really happy that tight pants came back.
There was a guy when Dave First and I were of the age of going out to bars all the time. We'd go to the Vogue, and there was a guy we called Tight Pant Timmy because he always wore tight pants.
Tight Pant Timmy got the last laugh. TPT, if you're watching, you won.
TPT doesn't know he's Tight Pant Timmy. By the way, Biter Bullshultz upcoming, brought to you by the Shop Indy. Formerly 920 Broadable Avenue. Just go over.
Did you mess up our shirts?
They moved to left. No, I didn't mess them up.
You're not supposed to touch these.
I'm displaying one of them
but
right here.
There's a big gap in our table.
Well,
Here we go.
because I just picked this one up to display it.
Well, it looks stupid.
Clay Terrace, Broadable,
good. Yeah, that
name,
looks good.
image, likeness. Whether you're a Purdue fan, an Indiana fan, college athletics, the Shop is hooking up with different athletes. Trace Jackson Davis among those, Jackson Anthrop, to make sure that you have your school represented, whether it be nostalgic nature of pop culture in Central Indiana or from a sports standpoint. The Shop Indy, the highest quality T-shirts, and everywhere you go, conversation points. I can promise you when you wear one of them. Oh, man, awesome shirt. Where'd you get it? Although I think most people at this point know it's from the Shop.
They're the best.
Biter Bullshultz, Derek, you know the drill. You say something, and then I tell you if I buy
That's
it
right.
or it's Bullshultz.
Here we go. Ready for number one?
You put that over there. Okay.
The Colts will not make the playoffs this year. Biter Bull Bleep.
Buy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's 12:58 p.m. on Monday. We just got the Carson Wentz timetable news. Right now, you have to buy it.
And
in a loaded
the
AFC.
AFC's kind of stacked.
Yeah.
Although you never know. You know, there's always one team that everybody thinks is going to be, this is their year, and then they regress. Cleveland.
You're right, but
there's always a team
I think Cleveland's going to be really good.
I think a lot of people think that.
Yeah.
Buffalo's probably a better pick for one that kind of slides down a little bit, right?
But Allen was so good last
He's
year.
good.
I can't imagine he'll take a step back. Cleveland, Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, Tennessee. I mean,
Tennessee?
it's loaded. It's really tough. So I
Third
think
year in a row, I'm going to
yes.
say the Chargers make a move. But go ahead.
I think you have to say, well, with their quarterback situation, they should be primed for that. I think you have to say yes. I'd love to say no, but if Wentz misses 4 weeks, which is probably right in the middle, I think it's really. I don't even think it's realistic. Look, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. And apparently with this foot surgery, if it's this metatarsal thing, bone, whatever in his foot, individuals react to it differently. There's not like a blanket. Like an ACL, you can kind of put a blanket timetable on. I think it's unrealistic to think that Carson Wentz will be ready to play week 1.
Fair.
So we're talking about him missing at least a game and
I
probably
go back
more
to the bigger
like 3 or
issue is the
4.
fact he's missing camp. But
I 100% think that that's an issue too, because he's going to be far behind the 8 ball here with a new team. But the Colts just have so many eggs in that basket that I have to buy it. Golf and tennis should be team sports in the Olympics. Buy it or bull bleep. So you'd have like, I think kind of like a Ryder Cup sort of format.
I think the golf in the Olympics feels
no one
weird to
cares
me because it's like you happen to win that round. It doesn't mean you're the best golfer in the world, right?
Well, even tennis in the Olympics. You remember Wimbledon champions or the U.S.
Yeah,
Open.
exactly.
Nobody knows who won. Like, did you realize that Novak Djokovic did not win gold this year? No one knows that.
How about Djokovic, who said he made some comments apparently about Biles and her mental toughness, and then he had a complete meltdown. Not good there.
Those tennis guys.
Yeah,
worst.
team sports fair to see which country produces the best overall talent.
I guess with tennis, you just play doubles?
Or you have like
a doubles round
You have a
robin?
tournament with point systems for the country itself.
Yeah, maybe there's a match play thing with tennis that you could do, kind of like with golf. Because I love the Ryder Cup.
Well,
format.
I mean, in
think
tennis,
that's great.
Derek, in tennis, it's just like, you have a 1, 2, 3s and then 2 doubles, and that's just like in team tennis in high school. You just do it that way.
Oh, yeah, I guess you could do
Number
that.
1 singles, number 2 singles, number
Look
3
at you.
singles.
North Central tennis.
Trick is, of course,
Wow.
if you listen. I mean, you don't go through North Central's program that Barbara Wynn put together at Washington Township for that many years from the outside. I was never part of it, but I mean, you certainly know the deal because you see then the 1, 2, 3, and then the 2 doubles, and then people are stacking the decks and moving stuff around. There's a lot of strategy.
Our
to it.
Panthers looking good this year. Our number 1 kid, good parents. Parents came up, played North Central.
Dad was on the 81 team.
Daddy's a good player. Yeah. It's just, I love high school sports. I really do, and I love the passion for it. But like that, when people are like asking, especially you, North Central is this gigantic high school. You know what I mean? It's not like it's Lagodi or something.
I'm not saying any schools. I'm not going to say any schools, but there are particular schools that if you ask about a kid on the football team, I don't care if it is, honestly, like I don't care if it is son of Sam. You ask them, and always, that's good kid, real good kid. So it has to be, that has to be followed up. Good kid, and then pause, recollection, real good kid.
Yeah.
Then has to mention if legacy or brother.
Yep.
Okay.
Uncle, dad.
With the year. Dad was on the 79 team. You know, they went semi-state. And brother, and then the very end of it, this is the most important. And good family. Real good family.
Good head on his shoulders.
Always a good family.
Too. Final one.
Literally, it could be the Manson family. Good family. I'll tell you what, good family.
I was downtown. It was spectacular. We've had just a run of beautiful, almost like early September type weather.
Patricia Karenwinkel was on the 68 team. Okay. Good family.
Was downtown on Saturday. You were downtown, right? Or no, you were up at Deer Creek.
I was. Ruoff,
sorry. It was like 75 degrees, beautiful. There were people out. It was wonderful. Walking around downtown, I had to pick up a to-go order, and I just took a lap around the circle and all that. It was just nice. You know, I remember what downtown was like last summer.
Right.
And it's nice to see us kind of pick ourselves back up again. Everything was great. You heard birds chirping and all of that until pedal bar. And then I get down another block. Oh, my God. Another pedal bar. I'm just like, how many are there? And then there was a parked pedal bar by the circle, and they were all out, and they were hooting and hollering. And I'm like, they're not even in the pedal bar. And
not only that,
out.
I'll tell you another thing that is an issue downtown. Okay? I was downtown. I went to an Indians game and was walking back, and I walked from Victory Field to, like, the circle area where I'd parked. And if you're walking on the sidewalk, you have to walk in a perfectly straight line as to not, like, make a sudden movement left or right because there are scooters coming full throttle at any point. And if you step out of line and one of them hit, I mean, one of those people are flying on them, right? I'm
surprised they make them run on the sidewalks. You think it'd be safer to have them on the shoulder.
I think they're supposed to be in the street.
Oh, see, I thought they were supposed to be on the sidewalk.
But, I mean, it is.
I'll have to
you got to have like eyes in the back of your head because they're coming full throttle.
They go fast.
That pedal bar, by the way, I know that you think that your bridal party or your group of friends from college, that you're the first people ever to be on that thing. Woo-hoo, woo, Cool and the Gang's playing, all right. And not to mention, your pedaling isn't doing anything. The little guy that works there that's got the steering wheel, guess what? He's got a gas pedal. Okay, get over it.
They have gas pedals in those things? I never knew that. Oh. I thought you were literally powering that yourself.
I mean, Derek, you're behind 8 fat asses that have had 9 drinks. You're gonna cause a log jam, right? I got to get those things out of the way. When I become mayor, of Indianapolis, pedal bars, scooters, enjoy them now. All in the White River.
To each their own, but I just hate loud.
Yes.
Like, I don't care. Have a good time, like, whatever. But if your loudness is infringing on my good time, then it becomes a problem for me. So the last statement was pedal bar should be outlawed, bite or boldly, but we already know what.
Outlawed?
We already know what our answers are for that.
I'd be like the warden in Shawshank. We'll have ourselves a little bonfire. Yeah.
Ooh.
Torch all of them.
That was when you were really rooting against him. And then he got his.
He did.
He got his. I don't want to spoil it, so I won't go any.
Because
I don't want to go any deeper into it.
Okay.
Thanks to all of our great sponsors, Bailey and Wood Financial Group, 855-350-HOME, BAWFG.com, 5-star customer service, 13 Indiana branch locations. Their golf outing on the 12th.
Okay.
Coming up right around the corner. We're making an appearance at that.
Also, Chateau Kitchens. Want to be sure to mention them. Indiana Members Credit Union, WGU Indiana, Love Heating and Air Conditioning, love-hvac.com, and The Shop Indy.
All great. And all make this show possible.
That is correct.
Outside of our, appeal and stardom.
Indians game win?
Next show, the 10th. So our next Tuesday show, live from Victory Field. We'd love to see you there. I think gates open 5:30.
Okay.
At least that's in the olden times. That's what it used to be. We'll be there 5 to 7. If you can't be there live to Comcast and a couple of other places. We'll do Twitter, YouTube, that whole deal.
All right, sounds good.
Yep.
See you then.
Have a great week.
We pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service, but at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.